My daughter despised me. A failed mechanic like my dad doesn't have the money or intelligence to do all this. Now my wife wants me to apologize to my daughter or she'll leave me. Update 2. The second call was to the DJ. A nice young guy who had accepted a split payment because just that month his amplifier had broken, and I had helped him with the repair without charging him for labor. When he answered, he greeted me cheerfully and told me he was waiting for the other 50%. I replied that there was nothing left to wait for. I reminded him without raising my voice or losing control that the young lady protagonist of the event had publicly referred to me as a useless failed mechanic, so if I was worthless to her, the money that came from my failure must also be worthless. The guy was silent for a few seconds and then said he understood that no one had to put up with something like that. I told him I was sorry, that if he wanted to go and collect the rest from Lisa it was his right. "Do not worry, bro," he replied. "I owe you one." With the photographer it was different. He did complain. He called me twice on the same day, leaving voicemails that he sent me while I was still under a car finishing a checkup. He said he needed the second payment to deliver the photos, that everything was already edited and that he had invested a lot of time. When I finally returned his call, I asked him to do something very simple, to save all that material in a folder and forget about it. There I told him that if he published a single photo or video of that party without me having cancelled the full contract, I would sue him for unauthorized use of the event since the hall was leased in my name and that neither Lisa nor Madison had legal rights to that production. He got nervous, tried to justify himself by saying it was not his fault, that he was just doing his job, and in part he was right. So I proposed something to him. I offered to pay him in kind. I did a full maintenance on his truck, brake change, suspension system check and even a deep cleaning of the engine, all in less than a week. I did not give him a single dollar, but the guy left with the car like new. I made it clear that if anyone asked about the photos he should answer that all the content was being withheld for non-payment and that the images were not available until further notice. He did not object. And then came the moment I was waiting for, Madison's hysterical crying. I found out because Lisa sent me a message with a screenshot where Madison was seen crying in a voice message. She said that her friends were calling her because they could not find a single photo of the party on social media, that the photographer's account had deleted everything he had uploaded, and that the event organizer had written to her saying that the final payment had not been processed. "Dad, what did you do?" Madison wrote, as if using that term of endearment for the first time in 5 years was enough to turn back time. I did not answer her or open the message. I left it there for her to see it as read, but without a response. 5 minutes later, Lisa wrote to me with a tone that was no longer pleading but demanding. She said I should face up and behave like an adult, that what I had done was cruel and childish, and that because of me Madison was having anxiety attacks. She asked me to give her the photos, to pay what was missing, and to also apologize publicly to her daughter. That was the part that made me laugh. Not because it was funny, but because it was so cynical, so out of place, that I felt that for the first time I was clearly seeing the level of emotional disconnection they both had. They wanted me to ask for forgiveness for having felt humiliated. They wanted me to act as if nothing had happened, as if the phrase failed mechanic had never come out of that spoiled mouth in front of the whole party. I did not answer Lisa either. I limited myself to transferring my share of the month's rent. The house was in my name, but we had a shared account for common expenses, and I blocked her number for a week, not for revenge but for my mental health. I had to take some distance so as not to be dragged down by the usual emotional blackmail. During those days I stopped covering the payment for Madison's car, which was in my name and she was just starting to pay. I also suspended the additional card she had on my account and that they used for school expenses. In less than 3 days the angry messages turned into pleases, then threats, and finally into the uncomfortable silence of someone who realizes they have lost control. Outside life went on as usual. In the workshop the cars kept coming in with the same